We are back with the show, the Graduate Show. And what do? We hit view all. I gotta log in. Sometimes you gotta log in more than once. Okay, so yesterday we did the under 1,000 show. And today we are going to be doing the over 1,000 show. I split this up because there was too many at one time. I was getting bleary vision. And I also felt I didn't have the energy and time to go over everyone's profile and games, which is the intent of this show, of this celebration. Okay, so overall we had 30 graduations, and I'm a little concerned actually now that I'm looking back that anybody new in here. I think it's going to be the same, so I think we're okay. I'm worried about Quiet Night. Right, I think Quiet Night came in, so I think we're going to briefly look at Quiet Night. Let me just see. I think Quiet Night actually came in yesterday before. Anyway, it's a little bit bureaucratic, but we have to still get it fixed where the date is fixed, because I have two dates, and this is something our tech genius can do. I think he meant to do it earlier, but there's a lot of stuff on that guy's plate, dude. Clubs, no clubs, activity, and this is how they got there. Oh, it looks pretty good, dude. Oh, this guy's doing great. Take a look at a game or two. And I remember Quiet Night. I remember this. So 30 plus 15. Let's take a look at how Quiet Night's playing. GM level so far. Fine. And this is a typical question that every beginner gets faced with. Now, Bishop G5. In many ways, making sense. However, there's a big question here, and that is, does Bishop F3 win a piece? Right? That's the question. Bishop F3. Now, maybe it's not over yet, because we can go bam, 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 bam. Oh, the tables have been turned, my good friend. Oh, that was a good variation. And the point would be black would be hoping for this bad boy when we get free, and we are up a piece, right? But turning the tables with Queen F3 is a dirty deed. Okay, Bishop G5, Knight F6, Knight C3. Now, fine. It might have been more prudent to play Knight D2 so that Knight D4 wouldn't mess with us. Black castles, and then boom. White is the one who creates the first bit of tension there. So castle's a little bit incorrect. Knight D4, definitely incorrect. Okay. Now, H3. By the way, one thing I notice in the under 1,000, and I talk about this in the book that we have coming out, How to Analyze Your Games, is that we often get reasonable descriptions of what's going on, but we don't always get variations. But that one is actually very good. Now, with H3, this is where I would want to talk about it a little bit. This knight is misplaced, for example. And we have several really tasty looking moves here that we should contemplate besides H3. H3 will allow this knight, for example, to trade itself off, and we don't want that. So I think a good default option for us would be to go snippos, hippos, and crippos, and then next move play C3. Then we can talk about H3. That's just my take on what a good variation would be. Good. Now they get to trade off. Ooh. Now, this is an important mistake. When you recapture this way, you block your bishop. Okay. Now, the question mark with this bishop h4 is your bishop going to be hemmed in on g3 if he plays g5? I don't understand rook b8, loss of time. Now you take it. I think you should have done that before. And now we have ourselves an interesting endgame, my friends. That's pretty good. Rook e4, very ambitious. In general, I don't believe it because f5 should mess with the rook. But okay, h5. And now I guess we win a pawn with rook h4. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we won an important pawn. I like rook f5. I like that move too. We're getting frisky. He misses it. Check to the miserable king. Oh, now it's just devastation. So, as we've seen, the way in which these games are won is ultimately by tactics, right? And there it is, d4. What Black didn't see it coming. And they were in a little bit of time pressure. Penrose, also in the training program. I recognize his name. Kind of yard sales it here. Yeah. Everything's going away. So again, Quiet Knight, I didn't look at yesterday, but I believe he graduated after I did the show. So I think that's what happened. And Quiet Knight's doing great. Look at that. Quiet Knight's come up from the very bottom, my friends. Graduated, started 0-300, worked their way up. Fantastic. All right, let's go back, news feed. And now we're going to go to the 1,000 proper, 1,000 plus proper graduates. So first up, we have CJ with a beautiful, we need more people with cool little logos, like Max has got a cool logo. All right, so this is CJ. And CJ is ready to graduate again, honestly. Look at that, 1107. Yeah. Activity. We'll go back one. Doing simple work, simple progression. Looks really good. Do we have any clubs? No. Games? Loads of games. So you can tell that CJ is doing the proper work of playing and annotating their games. By the way, let me just give a little announcement. You saw Max Bierman over there. He graduated yesterday, and he's helping us do a statistical analysis of the dojo. And one thing we knew from Dojo 1.0, when we were a very user-friendly user-unfriendly site, was we discovered with a statistical analysis that the most return for your time and on any task, so like what task do you do to get the most return? And for example, back then I thought it would be analyzing your games. Turns out it is the act of playing your games that is the most important thing out there, and then analyzing your games comes next. More important than tactics, right? So we'll do a full breakdown of that once we're done. So snip snop, I would want to say something about this. E4. Looks good for white. Okay. E6. Controversial because now the bishop on C8 is hemmed in. Good move. Okay. Now, this move, A3, technically breaks some of Kraai's rules. However, we get it in that now that pawn on C3 looks like it's strong. And amazingly, this says prep ends here. I don't understand how this could be prep, honestly. This is a weird move. First of all, that's a weird move. And so maybe they've seen this guy do the exact same thing before. I don't know. I don't know how we get a prep out of that. Okay, good. Okay, now here is a little controversial because it's not clear if you're going to be able to, if black is going to be able to play E5. And white says, boom, and I like it, E5. Threatening bishop H7, and black does not see it, probably needs to play F6 here. And we would want, and maybe in the variations, like what should black do? And one of these moves seems like it needs to be played. Bam! And black should probably take it, you know? And we should definitely do a variation. So here would be the variation. Here, here. We could talk about king G6, but first let's just show this. mate. Oh, it's so tender and nice. No, so tender. So that's obviously a problem. Yeah. And then King G6 is the next question. What's interesting about this position is there's generally, it is a position you need to think about because there's usually H4, Queen G4, or Queen D3. All of these moves look very tasty for white. Okay, but here we go. King H8, Knight G5. Did I look at this game already? I think I did. Yeah, I've looked at this game. I'm just kind of cruising through here. Yeah. So, CJ, I've looked at this game before, but you are doing great, dude. Let's go back. And I like all of these annotations. That's really good. Okay, and then it looks like you're ready to graduate again. So, props to you, my friend. And let's move on to Juan. Juan has done some work. Let's click. And I have yet to follow Juan. 1296. Juan is also way up there. And maybe, you know, doesn't feel great about graduating yet because of the difference in these two ratings. I don't know. If we look activity, and let's just see how they got here. That's some really good work being done. So, 17 hours. Good macro distribution. Yeah, that's looking good. Let's click on the tactics for a second. Okay. Clubs? No, clubs. Games. And these games were played a while back. But let's take a look, because I don't think I've ever looked at any of Juan's games. Spicy. Boom, boom, boom. And his opponent plays the frisky F5. Whew. Okay. So, knight e4 definitely seems incorrect. And he says that d3 would be better. Right. Okay. Now, in general, I think one of the things to say about f5 is that if you are not able to hold the knight's outpost on e4, then f5 is highly controversial. It's not a developing move, right? Doesn't help any of black's pieces get out. Makes it a little harder also maybe for the black king to survive, right? So boom, boom. Now I guess black should be fine, maybe even significantly better. Queen g3, okay. Okay, knight e2, and now a6. And you write about knight b4, that looks good. Another simple move to make here for black would be queen e7, intending castling long. And now knight b4. So interestingly, that a6 move gave you the option to put your bishop on b3 where it would like to be anyway, right? Queen e7, and this is a nice looking move. Wow. So you say that g6 is a double question mark. It does look bad. And we should have a variation, and I'm assuming that variation would be ed. And now we could either take it or play bishop g5 first. In either case, I do feel like we're doing good. Yeah. But it's not. Let's see, you know, maybe we got a couple questions still to answer here. Yeah, it's still a little interesting. Oh, I made myself a delicious coffee. So I like d4 and I like the spirit of it, but we would want to analyze ed just to figure out what is happening after that. Can black somehow hang on? So, boom, that's nice. It's like a Polgar mate, except it's with the queen. Good move. All right, and now it's just a process of knocking the guy out. Good. 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 Don't understand. Okay. Good. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Personally, I would have liked king d2, but I'm sure this is okay. There we go, king d2. Good move. Simple and strong. Yeah. Now he's not actually threatening e2 even, right? Because we'll just play. No, actually, yeah, he's not threatening anything. But okay, king d1. That doesn't do it. That doesn't do it. Simple chess. I like it. Very nice. Okay. So Juan, that was a good game, man. I'm confused still about how that could all be prep, but you know, and this is a noteworthy positional mistake. Yeah. But f5, it does present you with some interesting troubles to solve. I think a very basic thing we can say too about this is, this position, for me, evaluating it, is not just the weakness or strength of this pawn, but like how good is our control of the square in front of it, the blockade square. And what he ends up doing, of course, is helping you fight for that square, and of course that one, giving you just a beautiful bishop. D.L. Borger, hello. All right, now Kraai is going to mark things as reviewed. He's not very good at it, but he's going to mark these games as reviewed. One reason would be when he comes in here, then he knows that he's already seen it, Come on, Kraai, get it together. All right, so let's open this guy. Another person who could graduate immediately, already above 1,200. All right, first let's go clubs. No clubs. Activity. Maybe just joined. Yeah, joined fairly recently. Did 5 hours of work, no games. Did some tactics. Okay. No games. Okay. So this is more like a welcome to the dojo, where, dude, well, he definitely earned it. Look at that. Boom. All the way up. All the way up. Okay. Good. Now, Luciek is a really cool graduation. I know that Luciek is working very hard on their chess, and you can see it in this number here, 111. And Luciek says, playing 1 to 2 long OTB games every week and spending a lot of time analyzing has certainly improved my play. And next to that, the tactics books the dojo recommended. Not fully done with those, but the rating keeps climbing, so it's time to graduate again. Very nice, dude. Very nice. Like I said, with the statistical analysis, it was games and reviewing the games, and then tactics afterwards. Openings, not even clear it's helping you at all. All right, Luciek. And I know you guys are saying, God, Kraai, you're just confirming your bias. No, that's what the stats said. We're going to get a more detailed dive, though, on it before I give more pronouncements. Living in the Netherlands, nice, 11:59. Look at this. This man joined the dojo and just is crushing, dude. Absolutely crushing. Okay. So we'll go back one. And that's just a lot of work, my friend. 68 hours. That's just a lot of work. 111 points. So let's click around a little bit. Endgame, nice. First book of Morphe, good. Tactics. looks good. Got 550. All right. Good. Clubs? Oh, we got it. I know there's a Dutch club. Let's join the Dutch club, Luciek. And Luciek has done a lot. This latest game was just played yesterday, published today. And he's crushing an 1800. Look at that. This is going to be one of the club games, OTB. Do we have times? No times. So, by the way, you can, if you play over the board, you can input your times. That's how I've been doing it. But, of course, it is a little bit of work to do it. I think it gives a good snapshot of what was going on in the game. All right, so let's check out Luciek here. Oh, I thought he won. No, he loses against the higher rated. Okay, good. I like that. At first, I was like, he's not playing. He's not playing the Yobava. He's just developing his stuff. No, he's played this Yobava thing. Now, I think this is hard for white players to do. I know it's very popular and stuff, but it spurs me on my rants, about how studying openings is not too helpful, because this thing is, now you have to be very creative of how to play the position, because your c-pawn isn't involved. And black can do a gazillion different things. So c5, right, and bishop b4, bishop d6, that all looks fine. So c5, knight b5, knight a6, c3. Okay, now this is in fact interesting. On the surface, it feels like white doesn't have anything much. However, it's definitely true now that this knight on a6 is just very unhappy. It's just a very unhappy piece. So I guess we could call this a known problem position for black. Queen b6, a4, good move. We're just going to secure that knight. Bishop d7, and now b3. Of course, you know me. You know me, I'd rather not do it. If I don't have to do it, I'd rather not do it. And he is saying he's got to do it because of the c4 threat. So what I would like to say to that is, even if dude achieves c4, it's going to cost him one tempo to play c4, and it's going to cost him another tempo to take it. So I'm not really convinced that we should be wasting a tempo on our own to play b3. Yeah. Okay. Let's read what you write here. Knight f3, let's call that the intuitive move. c4. Seems stronger for black, who is up a pawn and has more space. Yeah. This would come to mind now. This makes more sense because we're going to try to trade a side pawn for a center pawn. If they do this, I think they're insane. We've got several moves, but knight e5 looks really good, right? That just looks like tasty, tasty chess. Any case, b3, knight f3, castles, knight e5. Okay. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. Bishop c6. The old Steinitz maneuver is to play here and here. Maybe we should be thinking about that. Okay, it's at least kind of interesting. Ooh. And you're right, I shouldn't have worried about the c-pawn. Castles, bishop takes, pawn takes. Now, you got to ask this question, though. Knight c3. It's hot. This one is simply a little hard to judge. No, this isn't so easy. This isn't so easy. Now, you're right, though, that I'd rather not take that thing on e4. Andy, thank you for subscribing. So, that's kind of a bummer for us. I guess we could play rook c1. I don't really want to. Here's where we should, by the way, I could have talked more about the things black could have done. But this is definitely a position where we'd want some variations. Bishop takes b5 is definitely a question. I don't really believe in queen a5. And you play bishop d2. And you talk about b4. Okay, good variation. But couldn't you just castle here? Oh, and say you missed it. Okay, good. Good note. Good note. What I didn't realize is that my knight's mobility is getting low. It only has one retreat route left in case of an attack. However, black's knight is absolutely miserable. Okay. And right, here's our blunder. By the way, let's just say something. Luchek here has outplayed an 1800. Black is in trouble here after bishop c3. Positional trouble. And this is a tactical issue that is a bummer, but can befall strong players. Yeah. So f6, and now I think you're toast. Yeah, and you talk about maybe playing king e2. What's nice about king e2, although the position is clearly lost for you, by the way, let's just show the problem is knight g4, h5, is that that knight still hasn't, yeah, I wouldn't resign. I mean, I know it would be lost, but I wouldn't resign yet just because the knight, when the knight fixes itself, then I'll resign, you know? That's when I'll do it. When the guy fixes his knight, that's when I'll resign. Neku says, what's up, bows? I am here. I am here. So that was a pretty good annotation. And if anything, in terms of the annotation, I think it would have been good to analyze, like, maybe not playing b3, because we don't want to give time. And then other moves for black in this position. Like, black does have a lot of time here. What would have been their best way of going about the business here? I'm a little concerned now. I would be, I don't know, actually. I don't know. You know, bishop e7, certainly not dumb. Rook c8. The problem there is maybe they a5 us. That's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. Okay, no. I was going to say bishop b5, ab, knight c7, but no, he just says check to the miserable king. And that's a pleasant position for white. Okay, bishop b7, boom. So your b3, by the way, I didn't like it intuitively or whatever you want to call it, but it looks pretty reasonable. Another move for black maybe was knight h5. I got questions there too, though. Maybe, for example, bishop e5, f6, and then some kind of knight move like knight d2. That's not over yet. Maybe I'll play something like g6. Also, maybe I'm going a little bit afield, as they say here, but g4 would also be a concern. Okay. Luchek, great game, dude. By the way, being able to play like Luchek is, a game or two on the weekend in his club, fantastic for improvement. You get to play someone rated higher, you know, maybe analyze the game with them a little bit. And then at a certain point, you need to resign. He did, though. He did. Yeah. Okay. Good. So we'll mark this one as reviewed. And next up, we'll look at Jack BWFC. All right. Flying ahead. Joined the dojo February of this year. Looking great. And well, they did 46 hours, my friends. That's no chump play. By the way, we say this every show, but as we go up the cohort list, we see people putting in more and more time. It is harder to progress once you get to a higher rating. Okay, that all looks good. What do we got at the end game? Good looking. Okay, here. Nice. All right, clubs. Oh, Jack's a part of all kinds of clubs here. Nice. Looking good. All right. Jack has got loads of games. Very good. 9 of them. Here we go. Okay, you're developing, though. Everything's going fine. C3. I don't think G6 is poor, by the way. Knight F6 might feel more normal, but I don't think there's anything wrong with G6. C3, though, is definitely wrong because it's blocking the knight's natural square, and it's not a developing move. Good move. Poor. At odds with the bishop on G7. Well said. Now, always, when you don't like a move, tell us what you think you should have done. For my little money, as they say, Knight F6 looks like a reasonable move for black with a nice position. So now we got an issue. And now Knight G5 looks good. Well, he did it. Queen D3. A bit for surprising. I feel like this is a bit slow for white, and they need to take advantage of my uncastled king and cramped position. I feel like F4 would have been very strong. Okay, yeah. Also, just taking the bishop on E6 would be a good start because I would want to know, like, what is your intention, black? You can take it with a queen, you can take it with a pawn. Both of them are a little problematic, but I think F4 also looks good. Oh, my lord. I like the idea of getting my knight out behind my f-pawn. At least then my king side isn't as cramped. The previous queen d3 does obstruct this slightly. So let's say this is insane. Why is f5 insane? Because we're not developed. We haven't developed our stuff, and our light squares are about to fall. Yeah. So knight f6 for sure. We got to play knight f6. This is not a developing move. Okay, I get it. You have some dreams, but after knight e6, queen e6, now the guy does make what looks like a mistake with queen d5. Maybe it's a reasonable move, but even just bishop c4, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do it. I can't do it, you know? All right, so queen d5. Interesting move. And you'd only want to do this if it was really working out tactically. Because black's king, if we trade queens, we're in the center and we're kind of ready for business, right? So one thing I want you to see when you play queen d7 is you are giving a lot of time to white and giving them control of those light squares. Now, the good news, and I guess your intention was that you will soon get knight f6, which is true. Okay. Now, you said it's the only move. I'm not sure. I think you could also play snippety-snoppety and a6. And he can win a pawn temporarily in a variety of ways, but you are set up to get that pawn back with your knight. So, for example, here and here, and here and here. And we're going to play knight e7, you know. Is it easy to figure out exactly what's going on? No, I just want to point out that's another move. This one makes me nervous because dude just has to figure out how not to lose his coconuts. And we have light square problemitos going on over here. Definitely a tactical blunder. And the default move for white should probably be just taking it. Open that man up. All right, so knight d2, knight f6, good move. f4, looks good. Yeah, and he talks about bishop a7. It's all over. And yeah, that isn't it. We want to trade queens. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we have to close him out. Oh, let's trades again. Okay. He's just giving you everything. Thank you. And he finally resigns. Okay. That was a great game. And I thought there's nothing wrong with this move. You could have played knight f6. I want you to see that moves like this are not helping your opponent, and you're going to get a lot of people playing weird moves like that, especially at this level. And then you're also doing things like e5, which are killing you. I actually had a 2000 on chess.com student play that mildly similar position. I think it was even worse when he played e5, And I think, by the way, the instinct is when you play it like that, you're kind of nervous. You feel like you need to do something. You don't have to do anything. I tell you what you need to do. You need to bring out your pieces and castle. Bring out your pieces and castle. That's all you got to do. All right. So, and then also f5. Incredible. I know it pays off. I know it pays off in the game. But it's really important to see that it's not a developing move, and now it just makes so much sense for them to take over the light squares, and there's more than one way to do it. Okay, good. So that was Jack BWFC, I believe. And now we have Ultra Slarkin, who I remember, graduated before. Ultra says, pole guard number 2, I think he means mate in twos, and game analyses are most helpful. I'm starting to better socialize more with others in the Discord, reviewing others' games and vice versa. Nice. Okay, that's what we want to hear. One of the great things about the dojo is that at the very beginning, we didn't yet have a culture and the technology to help people do precisely this, reviewing people's games, getting your own game reviewed. And Dojo 3.0 coming out soon. Hopefully that's going to be put into place in even a better way. But we're really seeing now, though, is an ecosystem of people doing that. Right? Okay, so let's take a look at Ultra. "'Tis all a checkerboard of nights and days, where destiny with men for pieces plays. Hither and thither moves, mates and slays, and one by one back in the closet lays." Okay, nice. We all go, at the end of the game, we all return to the same box. All right, so he's got a USCF, hasn't moved for a little bit. Then we got this beautiful chart where Ultra Slarkin is just moving up and up. What is Jitsi, by the way? Does anyone know what Jitsi is? I guess it's a meeting site. Ultra Slarkin's Chess Dojo room. Okay, there we go. We can meet on Discord as well. You could create a Zoom call. There's 1,000 different ways to create a meeting. Let's see how Slarkin did their business. 30 hours. Oh, look at that. Looking great. Looking absolutely great. We got any clubs? Nice. That's okay. SoCal. This helps me understand where people are coming from. All right, we get some games. That's looking good. This game was done just yesterday, so we're going to call it timely. So, all right. So now you played bishop f5. Okay. d4, e6. Good. Knight f3, knight d7. Great. g3. Terrible move. Okay. So I think it's important to just talk principles for a second before we get deep. The reason g3 is a terrible move is white has already made a pawn move to get the bishop on f1 out. So g3 does nothing to help the bishop. And on g2, it's just hitting a rock anyway. So it's not even going to be improved if it goes to g2. Then on a deeper level, which I don't know if we need to get into here, Kraai, but in any case, on a deeper level, what's going on is in this position, white can say to themselves, yes, it's a French. Yes, black has their bishop out, but it's going to cost them more time. And when they play c5, the position will open and might be a little uncomfortable. So just the natural developing move, bishop e2, is the kind of thing white should be looking for, right? And if c5, maybe, but then this diagonal opens, and then this square potentially opens to smack the bishop. So, g3, incorrect. h6, do I like it? You know I don't. You know I don't like it. Knight e7, sure, or c5. Takes. I don't know. I'm not a fan because now white should definitely take this way. And that at least allows them to do this. And they're not dead. They deserve to be dead. They deserve to be dead. So, as an example, knight e7 looks much stronger. Okay, cd, bishop d4, not a good place for the bishop. Bishop c5. Okay, I like knight e7 followed by knight c6. And the whole time he didn't realize. He didn't realize it like it bumps. You put your bishop here, at least try to open up the pieces. And, oh, let's look at something. Both sides, especially white, is just not thinking at all. So, right, it's online, and what you can see is that white didn't think at all. At all. In fact, see what happened? What do we see here? White is gaining time. They're not thinking at all. Now, let's just prepare ourselves mentally, because when you play online, you're going to face opponents like this. And the first time it happens, maybe in the first couple times, it's going to feel like, this guy's a genius. He's playing super fast. No, they just don't have the ability to think. Like there's been several opportunities for white to play knight d4, and white simply didn't do it. Queen b6, okay, knight e7 also looks good. And now you have this better ending. And what I'm going to hope is that you did not castle. That's my hope for you. Let's just see how it goes. Rook c1, little passive. What would make more sense? Knight d4. Why didn't they see it? Because they're not thinking. Good. Now they see it. Notice, what was the point of rook c1? Full loss of time. a6. Okay. Okay. I don't know. You're doing great. Okay. Knight e3. I think I'm okay with this. But notice, the knight is pretty great, but it's true. You have a nice position after this, so why not? King g2 makes a lot more sense to me. Rook c8, nice move. g4, that isn't it. Notice, white is not thinking, right? What does white need to do? Something like moving the knight and playing c3. That's right. Poor move. Good move. Good move. Is it the end of the game? It looks bad. Time for revenge. Buddy, your chess could be so much stronger if you just slow down to think a little bit, buddy. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to see the closeout skills from Ultra Slarkin. Good move. Doesn't really do anything. Doesn't help. Good move. Oh, that's got to be a good move. Making our lives easy. Fine. Yeah. Horrendous. This person didn't think at all. Yeah. So one of the nice things about moving up Ultra Slarkin is you will no longer be playing these kinds of people so often. Because as you go up, they learn to think. It's like they either learn to think or you just stay where you are. And Time for Revenge, I'm going to say, is going to stay where they are. Look at that. They started with 45 minutes and they ended up with more, 53. The other thing I want to say is this, analyzing your game here is a great way of getting a feel for this kind of position, which you're going to get again and again, right? So instead of thinking of it as like, I need to study openings, you just like, I study this position in my games, and then I will gain a sense of how to play. What is the dynamic in here? Okay, genius. Ultra Slarkin, congratulations. So next up, we have another cool graduation. Every graduation's cool, but for me, the ones of people I know who really struggled to get there, it's inspiring. Sid Mandu, look at this, 136. It's a lot of work. Let's read. I made the move over to Lichess Classical and my rating quickly went up due to my provisional status. I told myself I'd wait and see where I stood with a regular rating before graduating. Completed all the tactics and did Sarwan's book, which I liked very much. I decided that I would not play another game in this cohort until I had fully annotated the prior game. I spent more time on my analysis with well over an hour of time on it per game. Nice. I went through 12 classical games on Discord with other members of the dojo, and shout out, this is my favorite part of these, Random Chess Nerd, Sleepy, Das Debug, M. Norris, and others for their camaraderie as we went through some real stunners from the chess machine. While his ascent was much quicker than this ascent was much quicker than my last cohort, I feel like I've done the work. My game is more confident. I have a much better handle on time control after doing some endgame sparring. I don't have nearly as much worry at the 10-minute mark as I had in the past. I'm ready to move on to new material, tactics, and challenges. Bow. Nice. Okay. That's really nice, too. That's great, dude. That's really cool. So let's click on ye old Sid Mandu. Coming back in Montana. Oh, yeah. So, with us 9 months, getting back to OTB and getting some USCF. I'm sure there's not a lot of chess in Montana, And I remember Pale Morning Done. I do remember that. And the USCF is way up there. Pale Morning Done, look at that. He's ready to go to the next cohort, my friends. He's ready to go to the next one. He has this jump, the Lichess boost. Okay, I'm pumped to see this. So, to get where they are, Sid did 52 hours and all of this work. Looking great. Let's see. Boom. Endgame. Beautiful. Games analysis. Great. And I have a feeling he even did more than this. Like he's mentioned, people above him were helping him out too. Okay, so this is looking really great. Let's say clubs. We need to have a Montana club. I got an old friend from high school, lives in Missoula. And we got all these games. Look at that. 43 games, my friends. 43 games. This is work. High Pepper Chess. Graduation game. All right. Somewhat crazy. Okay. So here we go. Boom. We have talked about this kind of, we've seen a little bit of this before. Bishop G1. Okay. When I started this cohort, I promised myself I would analyze every game I played, regardless. I played a match as white and got this exact same line from black. It's a crazy match that ended in a draw, but I didn't analyze in full. I just did a cursory review with an engine. It did not treat the game with much respect. I figured I'd never see this move again. When my opponent played this move in this match, I said to myself, "Self, you should have done your analysis. Now look where you are, you dingleberry. You should have trusted the program." It was like the dojo knew. Even funnier, the game, randomly assigned, was with the very same opponent, but I play in Zen mode, so I don't know until after who I'm up against. Okay, so here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I think it's important to talk about the principles at stake. So bishop g1, it's important to see it's a little scary that this queen's in. There's no doubt about it. But what happens is really important to say out loud is when they take on g1, they are developing our knight, right? So it is simply more time that we gain from this. Queen h1, and now it is a very nice move, queen g4. And we see this fancy queen g4 often in the aggressive, in one key variation in the aggressive repertoire for white. Okay, nice move. Bam, nice move. So there's no d6 or d5 because the bishop is simply hanging. And here we blow it. Oh no. It can go so fast. 12-minute think on his part. Yeah, he did think about it. And then queen d4, f4, knight d4, rook f2. Now, I don't know if you have to see rook f2. Let's say you didn't see it, because you just say, I'm protecting my pawn, I'm getting out of the way of this business, and then on knight d4, you just play d3. You know, I'm just saying rook f2 is a great move, but you don't need to see rook f2. You just need to see, hey, I need to protect my pawn, and I don't want to allow d6, right? You analyze knight d4, looks a little scary. Now we're terrified. Now we're terrified. Yeah. All right. Bishop g4. I'm sure this is fine. Bishop h3 also looks very scary. All right, we'll go on a little journey. Queen h6. That looks bad. d4, good move. Now, what's fun about this position is there's a lot of positions from the 1800s where, they did deep theory on the King's Gambit, and a lot of games looked exactly like this. White king comes up, but the white has control of the center. 95. I don't know about that, buddy. I don't think they calculated the situation at all. It doesn't look like it. Thank you very much. Oh, nice move. c6. Check to the miserable. Check to the miserable. Check to the miserable king. That's what it's called. And now this guy's completely toast. Very nice. Good. Check to the miserable. Oh, now we'll just take it nice and slow. Nice. Nice. Very simple and strong. Very simple. Very simple. Oh, simple chess. I love it. We could argue about some of these things, but in general, I'm really happy about the put away that you've organized here. Very nice. Welcome to the dojo. I was just always welcome to the dojo, and pale morning done is welcome to the dojo. There we go. Okay. Chess Lover says, I just got a DGT for the first time. Do you have any reason why castles registers as rook f1 and rook f8 respectively? No idea. I do not have a DGT. I'll tell you what I'm getting, though. I actually got it. I just haven't installed it yet. DM Hokie, one of the men behind the scenes in the dojo, told me a fancy chair to get. I got myself a fancy chair. Yep. I've played on many DGTs at tournaments and stuff, but I'm not that guy. I don't know how to do the DGTs. Okay, that was a great game, Sid Mandu. That was a great graduation game. And let's just go back for a second. I mean, Sid Mandu, this guy's killing it, man. Look at that. Boom. Huge rating gain. And ready, when they want, I guess, to graduate again. And then the cool thing will just to see when they get this USCF going. I think it'll be definitely hard to do in Montana. But maybe Bozeman's got a little chess scene going on there. There might be a little dojo club, the Bozeman Dojo Club. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, cool. So let's go back. And next up, we have Beckenham. And Beckenham says, joined in September 23. Started in the 13 to 14 cohort, but after 143 hours of study, I had to admit I wasn't as good as I thought. Dropped down to 12 to 13, and I am pleased I did. Chernev's logical chess has been excellent. My OTB play has improved significantly, and I am now currently graduating back to the 13-14. Okay, cool. Let's check it out. So, well, that's definitely, he's graduated back. Wigan, England. My target is 1600 Rapid on ChessCom and 1600 ECF, English Chess Federation. Oh, this is beautiful. I demoted myself, by the way. Oh, man. Had a couple bad tournaments. I dialed it down. I'm hoping I'll be back. The old man, he demoted himself. Doing the work, though. I'm going to tournament tomorrow. Oh, buddy. So, 1,300. So, that's big goals. We're talking about, 250 points over, it's not a 250 bows. It's only 150 points. Eminently doable. Okay. I think it's so mature, by the way, and we have had this problem where several people came to the dojo and they put themselves in an aspirational cohort, like the one that they felt they belonged in. And I'm like, no, you need to go to where your rating says, and some people even put themselves in a lower cohort to be like, I need to go through all this work, bows. No, put yourself in the right cohort, It's not just about the training materials, but also, for the people around you. You are going to be interacting with people, and you don't want to be significantly stronger than them or significantly weaker than them. So, what is mine called? I already forgot. It's got a fancy name. It looks kind of gimmicky, but that was what DM Hokie set me up with. Soon you will see this chair in every stream. It will comfort my back. So, activity, 1,300, 1,400. So he'd already done some work in here. I think that's what he mentioned, 143. And then this one is what he did. Demoted himself, and now he's on the way back up. And this all looks good. Let's click around a little bit. Mates in 2, very nice. Mates in 2, of course, you're going to build on that in the next cohort as well. So that's, not like it's a bad thing that you did it. Okay. And we had the middle game strategy, logical chess, which he mentioned. Games and analysis, looking great. Endgame, looking great. Also got the algorithm done. So that's all looking good. Now we go back to training plan. And you can see, dude's already done a lot. One thing that we're going to try to we will institute for Dojo 3.0, which is about a month away, is whenever somebody hits 80% complete, that will trigger like an automatic sensei review. And that just means if you've done all the work, we want to make sure you are on the path to actually graduating. Again, the assumption of the program is, especially if you're at a plateau, that if you did everything, you would make it to the next level. Okay, games. Clubs first. No clubs. So, now this is just a dumb thing, but I'm going to Google Wigan, England. Why? I just need to. Why do I need to know? I don't know. It sounds cool, and I think it's because it brings to mind that movie from England that's nothing to do, I'm sure, with Wigan, called The Wicken Man. I think that's what it was called. It's a hippie movie that's really weird but awesome. Greater Manchester. The Wicked Man. I think that's what it was called. I don't know. Any case, part of Manchester is what my business is saying. Kind of in between Liverpool and Manchester. I bet it's rainy up there, my friend. I bet you could get some good chess study done. I bet you could do some great chess studying in Wigan, right? So, that's right, Quan. Okay, this looks like a real game, i.e. OTB. Let's take a look. B4. We're already starting off a little weird, but okay. Fine. Okay. 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 Now, by the way, I don't really feel like White has done anything tremendously wrong. No, it's interesting. Good. Now, our first critical moment, and you played D3. Good. I think that's a good move. The knight now has some grief. A6, A3. Goodbye, Mr. Knight. So, you know, what we should say is knight b4 is probably a blunder. And it's the kind of thing when you're playing at 12, 1300, like I've noticed this with a student of mine, but also like just on the under 2000, like they see a tactic and it's really hard for them to stop their hand from moving to knight b4, right? And they don't think about their opponent's resources. And then you found a great move. And I guess it's already game over, right? You analyze d5, but on d5, don't you still just play this one? Looks like you're still winning a piece. So good move. And now it's just a question of you putting this person away. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. Okay, let's castle. Good. Don't worry about it. Let's play rook d1. Okay. Rook d1. Good move. That's a good move. c5, giving us the d5 square. Let's play knight d5. Oh, okay. We can still play knight d5. Okay. Would have been better to move before, obviously. We'll just bring it back. Okay, let's try to put a bishop to d5 if we can. Ooh, a little fugly. Okay, we can do it. Knight e1, very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. We could play knight e3 first. Oh, simple chess. Just very simple and nice. Oh, there we go. There we go. Very nice form. Oh, goodbye. Goodbye. That is just textbook. So not only a nice win of the piece, but then very nice form. And one of the things about this game is, you know, they didn't really make any mistakes. I could see nothing egregious anyway. There was maybe a couple quibbles I had, but basically that was just a clean victory against somebody who's going for a cheap shot with knight b4. Okay. That might be DM Hokey in the chat. DM, I'm working on my chair, Baus. I'm working on my chair. It came in a big old box, dude. I haven't had time to deal with it yet. All right, let me mark this as reviewed. I'm trying to get in the habit of marking it. Okay, so, and I already blew it because I'm supposed to just right-click people, but I'm not the smartest, you know? All right, so we're down here. Sid Beckenham, now Kappa A. Kappa A says, let's just pour myself just this delicious little bit. I think the Polgar mates are definitely helpful if you don't already have this pretty huge trove of experience with fundamental tactics. Even with that fundamental trove, yeah. Also, just the idea of playing and analyzing long game is key. I agree with Kraai. 90-30 should be standard above 1200. You hear that, Kostya? You hear that, DM Hokey? Jesse's game analysis videos are really impressively useful, I find. Thank you. really high quality instruction for lower intermediate level guys like me. I haven't done much of the interactive tasks yet, but this is probably on me not being more proactive to find training partners. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for the compliment. Dojo even more appreciates that you're doing well here. And the whole thing with training partners, it's growing. We're going to do more in 3.0. And just the fact of us having more people in the dojo makes it easier to find said partners. All right, here we go. This is Kappa A. 55, all right. I'm almost as old as Kappa A. I'm not making Kappa A's improvement, though. Look at that, 1404. Dude made it. Got a USCF, all right, great. So, clubs? Oh, U.S. Evening Dojo. I don't do the evening. I don't know how you could be 55 and play in the evening. That's one of my problems. I'm gonna have to play maybe a evening game tomorrow. It usually knocks me out. So I just want to get through that, and if I can get through that tomorrow, I'll be a happy camper. In New Hampshire, maybe it's just so cold in New Hampshire, you can't tell the difference between night and day up there anyway, you know? All right, so activity. Let's go, we want to back it up 41 hours, very respectable. Lots of tactics, not a lot of middle game stuff, not a lot of end games, but okay. Bogar mates in 2, there we go. Great focus, great focus. And over here, looks great, all right. So let's take a look at some games over here. I have seen some of Kappa's games, I believe, in other shows. So, looks like a theoretical thing to begin with. Yeah. Oh, this is good. Yeah, so this is a position that, like, Carlsen, other world champions have had. You know, here we're playing logical chess. So, my sense of the position is c6 makes a lot of sense here. In particular, as then the knight on c3 is not great. And we need to defend our pawn. So you played bishop e7, and that makes me nervous. Okay. Now, something I'll say, because you're worried about queen f3, is let's imagine it was white's move here. Would we really be terrified of this? I wouldn't be. You know, I don't know exactly what we should play yet, but the problem for white is this knight isn't working. You know, so we have a lot of moves at our disposal. Rook b8, bishop e6. I'm not worried about bishop f6. If anything, I'm worried about him somehow fixing that knight. Okay, bishop e7. What does the guy do? He goes queen f3. Now, actually, it looks like you gave, what is this? You did, oh, you took. Yeah, you don't want to take, because that's their worst piece. We don't want to take that knight. That's their worst piece. And after c6, which I think we want to do, our dark square bishop will be our strongest minor piece, because it's our good bishop. The pawns are on the opposite color. Okay, now, he plays queen f3. I was concerned with bishop f6, knight d5, but maybe you're just fine. Let's give it a look. So there's no queen d5 because of this business. And then here. I'm a little nervous. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm just a little nervous. Bishop e5, queen h5 worries me, you know, stuff like that. Queen f3, c6, good. h3, and then you say he has got a clear advantage. I don't think so. No, he's got a bad knight. He's got a bad knight. There's no way he's doing that good. Okay, so rook b8. Probably okay. I think a simpleton move would be knight d7 to trade off the bishop and then introduce ideas like knight c5 and e5. Notice he's not going to hurt you until he fixes the knight. Okay, 92, good move. H6, good move. This is the problem, actually, with rook b8. This one I'm a little uncertain of, because that's our good bishop. Rook fe1. Queen c7, and now the guy finds bishop h6. Here's the rub. And now an interesting question. Are you really lost? Maybe. Maybe you are. The reason it's obviously unpleasant, but the reason I'm just saying maybe about being lost is, in general, when you're down a pawn, that's the definition of being a clear advantage, right? And is there anything else wrong in your position? If I was going to say you're lost, it's because he's got like a long-term attack on your king. If I was going to make that argument. Good move. Good move. Bishop d7. I would be interested in making c5 work. I don't know if I can, but I would like to try to make that work, to try to get a little counterplay if I can. Good move. I don't know about what he's doing. Oh, he's pinning himself. He's pinning himself like a madman. Queen b6. This guy, first of all, we got to say he's doing okay. He's playing a reasonable game. Knight c3, okay. And now you trade everything off. Queen a5. And you write, White's play seems lazy and has squandered a strong attacking possibility against Black's king. Now we seem to be entering an endgame with Black simply down a pawn. By the way, great analysis. I like it. It's likely that B. Petty was distracted at this point. He mentioned after the game that something pulled him away for about 10 minutes, which likely tipped the scale in my favor considerably. Good. That's right. By the way, do we have a time graph here? Holy moly, look at that. So yeah, they are already in deep time pressure here. This is not, the usual problem is people aren't thinking. These people here are thinking. So, Queen. By the way, I really want to stress, I like what you're saying about the trading. Now, let me stress that it's hard. How should we put it? It's psychologically comforting for White to just take your pawn and hold on to it. And it's be a lot harder to mate you, right? I do agree, though, that's, like I said, that's what he would like to do. And maybe what you should do is talk about what it is exactly that you feel White should play in this position. Maybe bishop b1, simple and strong. That looks good. Yeah. So what I like about what you said is it does feel like a squandering, and that you're absolutely right. You're down a pawn, but it's not, it's just a pawn. It's just a pawn at this point. And you recognize that, hey, it's actually the big thing is the fact that the guy had your king as an attack. Problem. I would be interested in rook c8 here, by the way. Not 100% about taking that thing. Queen e5, good. Okay, good. We're both kind of moving around and around here. That ain't it. He could at least, oh, he can't even play queen a7. Oh, time pressure saves my day. Okay, Kappa, well deserved. I mean, I mean that sincerely. Like, if they give you a chance, You should put them away, Baus. You should put them away. And I think these are all good notes. This is how you learn to play your openings, right? Yeah. There's some great Carlsen games as I remember them, both in Blitz and longer, where he plays this position with c6. That's my memory of it anyway. Yeah, I do need a nap. I'm under some stress, Baus. I'm under some stress. Okay, let's go next. Augustus Leog. I need to undo my stress because tomorrow, man, I'm playing this big tournament. This is Augustus Leog, 1465, crushing it. Joined last year in May. Activity. And we're going to go down one. And they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything. What's going on? What's going on, Augustus? You're doing so well. So here's actually an interesting stat. I'm going to make sure I get it right, too. So, statistical analysis of the dojo. And after you take away the people like Augustus who aren't actively doing anything, right? And you just ask yourself, what is the average gain of players coming to the dojo who do some work? Doesn't have to be a huge amount of work, just some work. What is the average gain? It's 65 points. That's massive, buddy. 65 points? You gotta be kidding me. Huge, huge. All right, so that's Augustus. And we'll go back. Next up, we have Marian. Let's look. 1559 will follow. Activity. Maybe also just a performative. Oh, no, they got 29 hours of non-dojo stuff. Clubs? No. Games? No. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Marian, but they joined, October last year. Maybe they are also like doing their own choose your own adventure thing here, where they've done 29 hours of playing rapid and some tactics and some other stuff. Okay, congratulations. And now we have Tomshko. Really happy to be playing a lot more classical games. It has cured my impulse-driven addiction to speed chess. Now I play a lot more OTB, both in a local club and on Lee Chess 4545. So much better than blitzing away moves on my phone. Let's take a look. That's what I like to hear. Music. Music 1504. Great. Let's follow Tomshko here. Activity. Looking good. And we're going to go down one. That's a lot of work, dude. That's a lot of work. Not so much on the tactics. Maybe they're doing tactics over here a little bit. A little bit. So they've concentrated, though, on the endgame and the games and analysis. European, nice. Okay, games. Kaputstein. Now, there's a nice one. You beat Kaputstein? That's very impressive to beat Kavutskiy. This is kind of fashionable. And I don't like taking in the dojo repertoire. I advocated for e6 just because here it's dangerous. It is now dangerous. They're getting their pieces out. Yeah. So we missed bishop f7. Now we're in a little trouble. King e7. Castles. Now we're just lost. c5. Yeah. Now, a lot of these things, what it's just looking like is that white is, or that Tomshko is using the computer to help them figure out what's going on instead of thinking like why. So when you say like bishop g8 was best or king f7 was best, be good to have a human reason. Also a human reason of what you're thinking. Like c5, for example, I get it why you did it. You know, you had to hold on to your business. Oh, buddy, some terrible things are going to happen to us. Yeah, No, you got a chance. Now you're alive. You're not dead. Oh, look at that. I was expecting f4. Good. Now, I think, yeah, it's too much. It's too much. What are you supposed to do? So even here, even after allowing this whole queen trade stuff, f4 was still crushing you. Now you might live. g5, please. Nice. Now your knight is solid. Very nice. Good. Good. Okay. We're not done yet. We haven't died yet. Thank you very much. Rook d7 was best. Look, it's not helping you. Okay? So for example, in the game, I'm sure you had some reason you played king f8 that you didn't like rook d7. Well, put it out there. You know, for example, maybe you were afraid that in this position he just regains his pawn. Okay? Now, does the computer have some fancy thing to say about it? Maybe. Maybe the computer will say that this is going on. But you need to figure that out. You need to figure that out. Okay. Tomsko, I promise. You will be on fire once you start analyzing your games for yourself. Bishop e5 or rook e5, I guess. Bishop e5 makes more sense. Dang. Nice, dude. Well, here we go. Bishop g1. Look at this. It's a dirty trick, too, d2. It's a really dirty trick. That's one of the dirtiest I've ever seen. Oh, that's cold. That's cold. Welcome to the dojo. He didn't even let you mate him? Dang. All right, my friends, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'll be right back. ChessDojo training program was built around 3 principles. The first is that to improve at anything, you need a structure and a plan to follow, something you can trust. And so at the dojo, we have material, whether you're an absolute beginner or you're a grandmaster, we have the appropriate material to get you to the next level. The second principle is something that also can be used to learn anything, and that's called the principle of plus minus equal, that you need somebody above you, an equal, and somebody below you. And in terms of the dojo, what that means is above you, you will have the senseis and other higher rated players who will give you insight and critique maybe on your games. But at a deeper level, the program itself is the plus that you have to give some measure of authority to follow the program. Your equal is your cohort. These are the people with whom you are going to spar out positions, you're going to discuss books, you're going to play against, you're going to have postmortems. It's a very rich community. And then finally, and this is very important, you need a minus, and this is somebody to whom you can explain your ideas. And only when you can explain your ideas to somebody who doesn't get them yet, have you truly understood those ideas yourself. The third principle is very chess specific, and that is really a Soviet Botvinnik principle, and that you have to go over your games in order to progress. And so at the dojo, we have a games database, and you will be publishing your analysis into that database. Now, the act of publishing, when you're analyzing the game, will have the effect that you know that somebody else, maybe myself, will read. All right, we are back. And that was Tomsko. Let's hit mark reviewed. And then we'll go back. And then we got Pheno Chess. About 6 months into the dojo, and I've seen some great improvement. The structure of the training plan is awesome. It gives me directions. The Silman endgame book has also been very helpful. I saved 2 draws due to my understanding of certain endgame positions with rook pawns. That's what we like to see. 146. Now, Pheno Chess is at the moment where he's getting ready to maybe do some rook endgame progression. And that is going to be made a little easier as well coming up in the Dojo 3.0. Fino Chess has graduated several times. USCF 1562. Looks great. Looks great. Okay. Joined September last year. All right. Activity. We'll go back one. Ooh, man, that's some work. Okay. As we say it every time, when we go up in the list of the cohorts, things get a little bit more hectic. A lot of stuff getting done. Dojo 3.0 Hupskirt will happen May 1st. At least that's the intention. Because we released Dojo 1.0 in May 1st, 2022. Okay, clubs. Fino Chess, Chicago. Nice. Who's in this Chicago dojo? Okay, nice. Okay, I'm loving it. All right. Go back. We got some activity. Games. And this is David Hernandez. And David is doing the work 1 of 30. Okay, so here we go. Round 2, the monthly Swiss. Game 90 with increment. Do we have times? No. Let's look. Good opening choice. Fine, fine, fine. And now here we go. C5, the most spicy of the moves. Knight b5, castles, bishop e7, queen e7. This was all opening theory for me. I actually have never played this line OTB, but I have prepared for it. It was cool to basically wrap it out, these 8 moves, while my opponent spent more time thinking. At this time, I had 92 minutes on my clock, and my opponent had 83. He gave an 11-move think on his move. Yeah. So, great stuff. Knight c7 is the main move. And I think Kostya got a little mad at me, honestly. I don't know if it was this way, but I gave that line in the dojo repertoire for the French. I did both the French and the Caro. And it's super spicy. And maybe of all the things I did, maybe the one that's technically incorrect, because the computer doesn't like knight c7. But I really want to stress, a lot of people are like, it's so easy to annihilate. But many GMs played this forever, and it's not simple. It is not a simple thing. You get the rook, the knight won't get out, by the way, and you'll get it back, and you're going to win this pawn. It's a whole interesting mess, and that's what David had planned. Now you're doing great, because you are up in development. Okay, you're doing absolutely fantastic here. Knight a6, however, is not it. All right, because the knight is poor there. The knight really, really needs to go to knight c6 now to put pressure on this coconut. And you're doing great. This pawn, not clear it should be there. We're looking at moves like f6. This pressure will be useful and nice. So amazing. You're doing great. Knight a6, though, your knight is misplaced. Good move. Notice that if our knight on c6, we would really be pressuring the pawn on e5. I think also you want to see that knight a6 is a kind of ghost move, because your mind has been concerned about knight c7, but we had to castle. Let's just put it over here. In this position, when we went for it, we had to castle because of knight d6. And we allowed this crazy thing with knight c7, and so your mind is like wrapped up in knight c7, but now you can let the knight go to c7. It's hidden air if it goes to c7 now, right? Okay. Is this a line giving up on a8? Yes, it is. It's in fact the dojo repertoire. I could change it at some point. We might get some complaints, but David Hernandez did great with it, just that he had the bad follow-up with knight a6. Okay, let's look. Takes. If there's a good move here for white, I can tell you it's not takes. Bishop d3 would be far more to the point. The drama isn't over after that. Yeah. So ef6, knight f6. I am very comfortable with this position. I have a solid center, a potential open file for my rook. I am also ahead in development. My opponent is not castled. Very good. Now this one, I don't know. I want you to see that your knight is poor on a6. And that this move contains the threat of c4. We don't necessarily want to play c4 because, for one, there's no rush for us to do it, right? And we might want to play, like let's say they play a4. We would say to ourselves, oh, I've won a tempo, and now I'll take, and he either gives me this square or this square, and then I'm saying to myself, bows, I must get that knight into the game. Bishop b1, passive. A4 looks better. Knight c7, okay. Now, I want to stress, when you're in these French positions, boom, that square is critical to control, and you don't have it. What you do have is that knight on a3 is a complete chump. And actually, I haven't seen the rest of the game, but we'll say the interesting question for the chess fans is, will white figure out that their knight needs to get fixed, and how will they do it? Frisky because you're not castled yet, and there's no rush. And now here's a real screamer. David. David, I'm hoping you appreciate why this is a screamer. You are trading off his worst piece. And it costs you a tempo. So you're going to pay a tempo to him to trade off his worst piece. Look at this. Imagine you're that knight. Where are you going next? You know, where are you going next? Whereas you have loads of interesting moves here. The most obvious, I think, is to go pop and think about, you know, landing a knight on one of these squares. You do have to fix your knight on c7. So the instinct to fix the knight isn't bad. It's just that you're fixing that, I don't know what he is, but he's not a happy creature. Little too fancy. He needs to think about fixing his bishop and his king first. Knight d7, very good. Fight for that square. Queen c2, they always try to mate you. g6, good. And now I think we would want to ask about h5. Good, I like your note. Thank you. Now, you guys hear me say this all the time, but the thing that you are going to run up against again and again is people who don't appreciate that they need to develop their stuff. So what do we say? White hasn't developed their stuff. For that reason, I'm not too interested in playing queen f6 here. For example, I definitely want to look at the variation with rook f7. You know, if h5, g5, and I'm playing rook af8, and it's going to be a thing. So I at least want to look at it. After queen f6, now it's, you know, the guy's going to be okay. Okay. Good, fixing you on the light squares. And you have a real problem because your bishop is actually truly terrible now. Now, you played bishop e8, and I just want to turn you onto a French idea, okay? Whenever you've got the bad bishop, you should be looking to dramatically change that bishop's fortunes. And so e5 should be the move you're thinking about. After de, what are we doing? We're getting at space. After de, we have two interesting moves. d4 is the most ambitious, and the simpler is just rook e8. Thank you very much. I'll pick my pawn back up, and this bishop will have degrees of freedom. Simple chess. That's not it. You need to fix that bishop. Rook d1, weird. King e2. Okay. So rook d1 didn't do anything. h6, at least interesting. Rook g1. h5. So now you are positionally lost because the bishop, white can keep your bishop on the lowdown, or however you want to call it. Rook g3 looks like a good move. Good move. Rook e3, good. And now he has prevented e5. Now, just because I say it's positionally lost doesn't mean it's like some easy peasy scene here. Like, That, I don't know. That's your side of the board over there. I'm not sure b3 does it. I'm not sure f3 does it either. And now also we have to say that because this is loose, you can start thinking about b4. Now, b4 now might be a good move. I don't know. Let's hit him with b4, Bows. Come on. Ooh. Let's hit him with b4, buddy. Yeah, there we go. Well, now we got him. Now we got him. Now it's just taking. Now it's just taking. By the way, if I could, I would rather not play BA. I know you're afraid of the passed pawn, but look at that. Look at these glorious pawns. Is he really going to mess with you? I think not. I think not. Now his king gets a little bit of room. At this point, I felt good about this game and the position. I have an extra pawn, more active rook. Good. We're both getting low on time. All right, let's see. I don't think we have times, but okay. Good move. Good move. Frisky. All right, that's at least the main question. King d5. At the minimum, the move that they should be thinking about. So in hindsight, one of the things actually I'll say about white is they played really poorly. But then when they got to this position, they were like, oh, now I really got to do something. Yeah. Now, you analyze rook f4, d3, check, snip. And right, we probably are not going to win this anymore. Darn. Oh, man, I thought you were cruising on your way to a win. The guy found active counterplay at the last moment. And we're going to say, here's where you begin to lose it. So notice the b4 pawn is crushing the white king, and you set him free. You're still doing great. And then this one, kind of unnecessary, really. But you're still doing great, especially because your rook is so much stronger than his rook. And really, the real question should be rook c2 here. What would happen after rook c2? I think that's the real question. And right, so you need, okay, here's the basic idea here, is that you need to be fundamentally aware that the only thing to be afraid of is him activating his rook. That's it. Nothing else. We're not afraid of nothing else, right? So king e6 looks good. You can talk about other moves too, like bishop f5. Okay, good game, Fino Chess. That was really good. I enjoyed that one. Good analysis. Played as a kid and came back as an adult. All right. We're climbing up the ladder, boys. We're climbing up this ladder. Robert is next. Robert might be a performative dojo, he's got all this stuff. Joined fairly recently. Yeah, there might not be much going on. So welcome to the dojo, Robert. Welcome to the dojo. All right. I hit the wrong one. And now we have, I can't read it. Under 10, Argentina runner-up 2007. We're going to follow that. Amazing. Okay. So, doing great. Started January this year. I'm trying to decipher the name. Like, I am Uhika. Maybe that's what's going on. I am Uhika. So, some non-dojo works going on. Clubs. Nice. Dojo. New York City. Okay. Games. Oh, we got one. Okay, here we go. So this is poor from black, and maybe d5 should be given consideration. But basically, against c3, knight c6 doesn't make much sense because that d pawn is walking up the board, messing with your knight. And you talk about d5. Okay, that's a little bit of a long line. Fine. And f4 is weird. You should say why it's weird. I'll tell you why I think it's weird. Because it's not clear it belongs there. And now you're not developing your stuff. Yep. A6 is poor. You talk about knight e4, and that looks good. That looks strong. Good. Now we just have a mess. I'm going to look at the other game and just say these look like computer-generated annotations. Let me just look at the next one. So, lots to say here. Unclear if h6 is necessary. a3, good. Fine. This is a good annotation. I really like this move. Queen a4 makes the knight on c6 weak because of the pressure on that piece with the bishop on g2. Good move, Good. We could consider bc as well. No, this is really well done. Now, is a4 necessary? I don't know. Okay. Good, I like that move. Good. Oh, really nice. And now d4. Now, this would be a perfect opportunity to say what you think you should have done. We've all struggled in positions like this. And the crime about d4, as I see it, is you've got this great position, but you don't know what to do with it. I don't know immediately what to do with it either. But the d3 pawn is keeping this knight poor. Like no one knows where that knight's going to go, right? So it's keeping that knight poor. Black, not really doing anything himself. I don't believe in knight a6 b4 just because that knight's going to be a chump there as well. So here would be a moment to think about, well, what is it that we should do in this position? Mistake. That bishop e4 they just didn't see. And now we can go back to the d file. Boom. Looks reasonable to me. Looks good to me. And now knight e5 also looks very strong. You're going to play this kind of position, by the way. It's good to analyze the game because you will get endgames like this again. All right, knight e5 was definitely the move. And now we have a little bit of grief. Now, f6 is no good if this allows that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to give white that big old fatty pawn. All right, big moment here. In general, a good rule of thumb is that in the queen ending, passed pawns are king. So I don't like that black encouraged this situation. Queen a2 looks reasonable. That's a terrible move. And now you're in. Check. Check. Oh, that's evil. No, king f3 is nice. Holy moly, that's cojones. That's cojones. Pawn e3 or something. I think that's something more we're looking for. He's going in though, Bows. He don't care. Oh my gosh. e4. Check to the miserable. Check to the miserable. Ooh, it ends up just being glorious though, doesn't it? Oh, look at that. Resigns. Well, that, he's in time pressure, and he said the king's got to go in. And what's nice about the example is, even if there was some better way for black to play, is in the queen endgame, there's just two things you need to know about a queen endgame. It's about who has the passed pawn, And it's about who can centralize their queen. That's it. So, all right. We're going to mark this as red. Reviewed. And next up we have Glios. It took me a year and change to get my second graduation. Glios is a hero of the dojo. Has been here forever. The main difficulty was moving from under 1,800 sections to over 1,800 sections, and it took me a while to adjust to seeking 1821 players on a consistent basis. Being in the program and doing the work was fun and helpful, and the community is great. Next graduations, I won't have a backlog of games to analyze. Boom. Yeah, Glios is just crushing it, man. And I looked at Glios recently because we had an appreciation stream, and Glios had looked at some other players, as I remember it. So we got clubs. The Sicilian Sparring Club. I didn't even know about that one yet. Activity. Nice. And we'll go back one. That's, dude, look at that. 809 hours. That's what it takes. Well, I say, you know, every graduation is amazing, but if you really worked for it and you were at your limit and you pushed it and you didn't give up, that's what, for me as a chess fan, you know, defines what beauty is in chess. It doesn't matter to me if you're Fabi or this person or that person. If you worked at it and didn't give up and made it, that's inspiring. Okay, this looks great. Let's take a look. And this is Yossi over here. Hopefully I haven't looked at this one already. Okay. A little weird, of course. Yeah. So what are we doing? Stonewall with reverse colors. E6, a little weird. Bishop F5 comes to mind. G6 comes to mind. How bad can it be to play E6? It can't be that bad. But you are allowing white kind of what they're interested in, which is this weird stonewall thing. Okay. You're developing your pieces. Knight E5. White already has a nice, pleasant position. Black is crammed and doesn't have fast play on the queen side. Now, do I think white is significantly better? First of all, I'd rather be white, but I don't think they're significantly better. I'm interested in castling. And, well, it's still a little hot. It's still a little hot. CD4 is in general a mistake because he's got a bad piece and you are helping that piece in. And that's what you write. Now maybe they're clearly better. I don't like that. Why aren't we castling? So the idea of castling, by the way, is I don't know what they're going to do. They have a decision to make. Maybe G4 could potentially be very hard for us to meet. Let me just say that's the one I'm worried about. But the intention is if they play any other move, I'm going to play for rook FD8, bishop E8, and I'm going to pretend that I'm not dead. Right? And at some point, I might play knight E4. This one I really don't like, though, because I don't know where the knight's going. Simple move. Now you castle. All right, so now, by the way, it's a difficult moment for white because white now has to calculate how to put you away. And they still have problems while they're doing it, i.e. the bishop on C1. Right? So, rook F3, maybe, but there's some question marks about the move because it's not immediately apparent that we're going to mate white. Oh, let's look. Mate black, excuse me. Rook F3, E8. A6. I thought also about this move and was trying to, yeah, I agree. And I don't know what's going on in this position. I'm just going to say I don't know. The rook lift is very tricky because if it doesn't work, it's just misplaced. And both of these pieces aren't working yet. So I like a6 a lot. And a4, I don't think you want to do this because that just helps them with their business. But it does help you organize a little bit of your defenses, right? Because the squares are softer now over there. So I know it looks kind of weird, but we could consider bishop c6 as an example. And if before we just sack a pawn. At some point we might play knight e4. These are just some of the random thoughts that are coming through my head. I don't want to play knight b3 though, because that releases a lot of the congestion that white is dealing with over there. And if we can get him to play a4, then for sure we should. So a6 is for that reason correct. Rook f8, I don't understand. If I was going to move the rook, it would be to do the Steinitz defensive setup with bishop e8. Okay. g6. Okay, this is going to be hot. Dude now launches it. White is crushing through here. It's impossible to save. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Let's see what you did. Knight c6. Probably a reasonable move. Okay. Let's say I play here. Here. No one's thrilled about it. However, there's still some reasonable questions to be asked about if white is actually crushing us. Yeah, I'm not 100% here. Knight f7, king f7, rook h7, knight g7. And if they ever play queen f2, h4, we hit him with h5 at that point. We're about to play knight d6 and some kind of over. You know, this is a great defensive piece. So all I'm saying is, and obviously we lost a full tempo with this rook d8 stuff. I'm just trying to say the pessimism maybe not fully granted. This looks poor, and now we're saying we're just down a lot of coconuts. Okay. But why not bishop c6? Is that your fear? Maybe. Are we lost? Maybe. No, it wouldn't surprise us. Yeah. I mean, it should be lost, but we should, I think, do that instead. Oh, we needed a plan. See, with bishop c6, we had a plan. This one, we don't have a plan. All right. This was inaccurate, and I managed to run here and prolong the game. Okay, it's certainly a natural move. Let's see here. So you wanted him to play. Oh, well, what did you want him to play? Yeah, what did you want him to do, buddy? This isn't really prolonging. I'm going to go ahead and say this isn't it. This isn't prolonging the game. Yeah, okay, we're toast. Glias, good annotations, and I think there's a lot to be taken from this. First, you're learning about a certain setup, the Stonewall setup, right? And white, try to see from white's perspective that it's not as easy as you make it, as it feels to you. You feel like he's just crushing you, but even in this position, which, yes, I'd rather be white, it's not. There's a lot of questions still happening here for me, you know, especially if we can achieve castles, rook d8, bishop e8. And that rook f3 move, he's taking risks too. It wasn't his only move, you know. I'm going to guess, by the way, that g4 is stronger than rook f3. Yeah. Okay, so super interesting game. Let's mark this as red. Nigel Shore bravery. Next up, we have Steen. Going with the FIDE, and this is the FIDE boost. The FIDE boost, you guys might know about the FIDE boost. You know, this is what happens. And now I don't know if we're going to get, there might not be anything going on here. Oh, Steen's got loads of games. Good. Clubs. And then we're going to go back. I did 47 hours of games analysis, and you can see, dude was truly doing these games and analyses. Okay, let's take a look. Actually, let me go back one just to see the clubs. No? I thought it might be interesting where maybe we were looking at a Scandinavian player. All right. C4, good move. Whew. Now, so this is highly dangerous for black because the bishop is outside the pawn chain. And that means, but being outside the pawn chain doesn't always mean it's a good thing. That means this diagonal is potentially weak. Boom. Now, to me, to my naive eyes, moves like CD and DC are what white needs here. This, I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, I got big questions. What's going on? What's going on? Why can't I do that move? What's going on? I don't know. It's totally unclear to me. Now, maybe you were afraid of knight f5, takes, knight g7, and is it scary? It's scary, but it's a little scary for everybody involved. For example, king f8, bishop h6, king g8. There's the threat of bishop f8. Do I know what's going on? I don't know. I just know if I'm white, I'm a little bit like, I'm like, I don't know. That's what I am. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. So knight h4 does not seem correctamundo to me. At least there's a lot of questions that have to be answered for me to believe in this. Now, however, he is cracking your light squares. And then he's going to be better. Okay, so here we go. Boom. 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 And now knight d6. Okay, now, the good news is, no, you're worse, but it's not, resignable or anything. Bishop e3, I'm not sure. I think e4 is maybe better. Good. Okay. Now, so what happened is he lost some time, and you were able to achieve rook fd8. Good. Are we frightened? Yeah, we're frightened. This guy's pretty good, dude. And then he talks about bishop f7. He would have to calculate a lot, and you should put a variation in there. So this goes down. By the way, let me just stress something over here. When you play queen a5, you move your lady away from the control of the king, the defense of the king. Now, maybe it's forced in the sense that on rook c8, queen a4 takes a7 might be a thing. But on the other hand, yeah, it probably is a thing. That's probably a thing. In any case, I don't want to do it. Maybe I have to. Wait a second. Yeah, maybe I have to. And rook fd8 certainly looks right, but then really when you think about it, it's like, oh, we have a problem. Houston, we've got a problem. Because then it's the f7 pawn is also weak. I criticize White a little bit, but honestly, White's playing a great game here. Now we should be lost. Bishop f7 is nice. We should have a variation there. I don't like bishop e5. Okay. Oh, we get to trade off a piece? Oh, all of a sudden it doesn't feel so bad. Now you're making a little play. Look at you. Queen f8. Do I like this? Now the attack continues by doubling on the h file. Yeah, now look. C4 is a luxury move. And queen g7, queen e7 is, I think, more to the point, right? That would not enable hg, for example, and you would have to worry, White would have to worry about g5. Now this is scary. You're just going for it. c3, interesting. Now, this is a fun position because it's obviously very hot. In general, the rule of thumb is if the king gets loose, we should be able to mate. And that when I mean by that is when the two rooks get traded for the queen. I'd be interested in a variation here of like, is there some way to organize a cleaner mate? So, for example, I'd be interested in looking at rook h6 followed by queen h4. Is that mating? It certainly looks hard to deal with, right? Then you could analyze g5, and then that's our next question with this little follow-up question, right? These are some of the things I think you can ask. White goes for this, maybe. Gets this nice position. No, it's definitely unpleasant. Dang. I should have played a waiting move like king g8. In fact, I want you to see there's a couple moments when you're under attack and I can feel it, like you feel the psychological need to do something here. You don't have to do anything. You don't. You can sit. Yeah, I do it too. I understand all about it. I understand. You want to do something fancy. Rook d2. But he needs to come up with a new plan to win the game. Exactly. I don't know about. I mean, he played a great game in many ways, and this rook h8 looks a little too much. I don't know. I don't like it unless he can prove that it's over after this. I don't like it because there should be an easier way for him to coordinate this against you. So, did Jesse look at the rook d4 sack stuff? If you guys tell me a move, you should always say Kraai. Did you look at 27 rook d4? Because I don't even know what game we're looking at sometimes. All right, we're going to mark that as review. Let's go back. I think we have one more. Chess Tim. Playing chess is 7. Enjoy both serious and casual chess, especially OTB. Very nice. That's the FIDE boost, by the way. Dude got the FIDE boost. Got some nice activity. Okay, let's break it down. 283 hours. Dude is working. Dude is working. Okay, Chess Tim. Nice. If I click on opening, what do I get? Very nice. Oh, Tim is working. Okay. All right, Tim. Maybe you got there through a boost, but you are doing the work, my friend. All right, so this is Tim Foster. Let's go look at the ratings. We got FIDE, English Chess Federation. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, well, there it is. There it is. In the King's Indian defense spirit. So it would be kind of good to know if you felt you were still in theory, or what's going on. It's a very interesting position. Oh yeah, those are some good variations. Oh, that's very interesting. Knight d5, queen c4, bishop f4. Now it certainly looks worrisome. We're going to put it that way. Bishop g4, and you write about rook e1 and rook c1. f3 definitely doesn't look correct. Yeah, nice, simply not respecting the bishop on g2. Now you should be fine. Maybe you're better now, right? Check to the queen. Weird. Knight b4, can't be wrong. And now you need a good move. You played a5. And I guess the bummer for us is on knight a2, the guy has knight d2. Oh, lordy, okay. a5. Queen a6, clever. Not sure I get it. Good move. That's getting spicy. Dang. We're working this guy all around. He trades off his good piece. What are we doing? Now, I will say this, Tim, is that you need to do more work in here. There's a lot of things that are going by. Like very intense position. I mean, I think you're doing great, and f3 is definitely a mistake. And I like this plan. I like that one too, I think. I think we need to talk about king h1 because I don't get it. And now you're looking at this amazing variation here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, timeout. I missed the fact that both defenders of the d2 knight would be removed. So on queen e3, oh, right, because we still get to take on c3. That's the key one. That is hard to spot. That's a nice tactic. So, you're still doing great. And you talk about bishop b3, right? Let's keep that knight there. And the last couple moves, maybe we haven't done ourselves that big of a service, but we are definitely doing great here. And we deserve to be winning. We deserve to be winning. And now we want to spend a little time analyzing it, right? So, one little bummer for us is the pawn on a4 is turning out to be a little bit of a chore to deal with. So b5 would be my first thought here. I think there's other moves besides queen e3. Things are happening here, huh? Now, obviously, the milk has gone bad. All right. And now bishop c4. Yeah. So Tim, let me say one thing. I'm going to look just quickly at some of these. Oh wait, let me just click this as reviewed for a second. But I'm going to look quickly at some of your other games just to see. I think I'm going to go ahead and say that a key thing for you going forward, you got a rough struggle ahead because this graduation to 2000 ahead of you, that's a hard one. But what I would like to stress is that you need to do more work in the annotations. So you're doing great work in terms of the number, right? You've put in 40 annotations. But in all these ones, you could definitely go deeper, right? You could definitely go deeper into these games. All right, you guys, I am knocked out. I've been at this thing for 2 hours. I am knocked out. So, my friends, we're going to raid somebody.